Records and Public Safety Department to order. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We need to adopt the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt?
Adopt the agenda.
Zinner, second.
Commissioner Romano, seconded by Commissioner Zinner to adopt the agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. The next section is to approve the minutes of the last Joint Internal Services and Records and Public Safety Committee. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved by Nard.
Commissioner Nard, supported by Commissioner Haw. Thank you. All I could get was Harold. Commissioner Haw, is there any discussion? Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item 5, public participation. The first opportunity for public participation is for those who wish to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on an item which is on today's agenda. The second opportunity for public participation is for those who wish to speak on any issue. Does anyone in the public wish to speak? Anyone in the public wish to speak on agenda items? Anyone in the public wish to speak? Hearing none, will close public participation. Next item, Internal Services Department recommendations. Item 6A, purchase order of New Way Cleaning Services, tile grout cleaning and power washing. Do I have a motion to?
Song makes the motion.
Thank you. Commissioner Zong, supported by Commissioner Farrington, made motion to move to full board. Lynn, you're on.
Good afternoon. The Purchasing Department solicited bids for unit pricing for tile and grout cleaning and power washing services. 125 vendors were notified of this solicitation, 40 vendors viewed the documents, and 5 sealed bids were received and publicly read by the Purchasing Department. The tile and grout and power washing services are performed at various county locations. It includes items such as tiled entryways or foyers. We also have showers, locker rooms, lock-up areas. We also have kitchens where the service is performed. We have power washing where we're power washing sidewalks, porch areas. We also have underground parking garages and also the parking deck. We are requesting authorization to issue a purchase order to New Way Cleaning Services in order to lock in these unit prices. I want you to please note that in the bid specifications, there are 2 one-year renewal options for this service, as long as it's provided under the same terms and conditions. Also, if you look at the bid summary, the Midwest company appeared to be the low bidder for the power washing. When we talked to them in a post-bid interview, they indicated they were not interested in doing the service, primarily because they were after the carpet cleaning. And it's made some sense to me because they're actually based in Ypsilanti. So that's how we end up with New Way Cleaning Service.
Thank you. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. Dual all cleaning on mound was a lot lower on the tile and grout. Were these things that we couldn't split up so that their bids on one may have been dependent on the other?
I knew this was going to come up. In the areas where we have tiles on the wall, for the floor, they will charge us the tile and grout cleaning unit price because they use a tile and grout machine. The walls are done with power washing. And when you start doing porch areas, we actually do much more in power washing than we do in tile and grout. I took about a year's worth of invoices just to see, plug in both companies and see how that would look. And there's about close to a $12,000 savings by going to New Way Cleaning Service.
Okay, and so these are broken down 2,500 square feet, then up to 5,000, then up to 7,000. Is this calculated like on a monthly basis or total in contract? Because obviously it would make a difference. Or is it per facility? Number one, and number two, are you the one who's already calculated the square footage of all of these areas?
We have the square footages, and obviously we would sit down and mutually agree to use those square footages if they doubt that they're accurate, that kind of thing. We do the shower cleaning and kitchen areas. We'll do that on a routine schedule. The power washing, due to COVID, we see less traffic coming into the building, so we're watching that pretty close. So as soon as, our biggest problem is gum, frankly, in high traffic areas. When you start cleaning underground garages, the square footages add up. We're going to look at actually how long it takes, and maybe we can package it a little differently. Even if you might, be 1 cent cheaper or 2 cents cheaper, it adds up. So we're going to take a look and maybe we can package the schedule a little differently.
Okay, yeah, because if on the routine stuff, I would think we'd be paying the highest amount.
Yes.
Because we're doing a small section
Right.
on a regular basis. All right, thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Zong?
Thank you, Chair. Lynn, I noticed that there was no annual cost under New Way.
Yes.
Compared to the other bidders. What is that, and how come that one is not filled in?
Well, they misconstrued actually in the bid summary, but we don't have, because of COVID and we're looking at the activity in the building and outside the areas, we didn't want to submit a purchase order with a schedule saying we're going to do this. We do it on a as-needed basis, so we will call them in. So that's why there isn't an annual number, because I don't want to throw out an annual number saying we're going to clean something, every 3 months when we don't think it needs it, so.
Okay, thank you. My other question is the average response time. What is their average response time? Because that one's not filled in either.
Generally speaking, we spoke to them on the post-bid interview because they're close by, and I think 4 out of the 5 vendors, are from Macomb County. They said they could get there within an hour, 2 hours at the most. We don't typically have cleaning emergencies, so we don't really rely heavily on that part. If it was something that was considered an emergency, obviously that kind of information would kick in.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Zinner?
Thank you, Chair. So Lynn, if this isn't an annual expectation, how long would these prices be expected to last then?
This would be a year with 2 one-year renewal options, provided those 2 one-year renewal options are under the same terms and conditions, meaning the same price. The county would have the ability to extend it for 2 one-year renewal options, but it would be a year for that
I
first
thought I
year.
had seen that, and then when you answered in that way, I thought I had misconstrued. Thank you very much.
Lynn, I kind of expected to see a not to exceed number someplace in here. I I understand that why you don't want to put specifics in there, but I would have thought there'd be an overall, instead of sort of signing a blank check.
Well, we're not signing a blank check. We're going to lock in these unit prices, and then when we receive the invoices, we have an agreement as to, we know what the square footage is. They agree to that square footage before they even enter the facility. So we don't really see a not to exceed having to kick in. We're going to know what it's going to cost before they arrive to do the work.
Okay, but I guess my point was we don't know how many times a year they're going to do it, how big the areas are they're going to do. Approving this, we don't really know how many dollars we're allocating for this, so to speak.
Yeah, I can attempt to do that, but because of, we're watching more on the traffic coming in and the condition, we're going to base it on that rather than just say come in every, 4 months and do something.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Zong?
Thank you, Chair. I sort of had the same question, and maybe you already answered it. That was sort of my concern too, is we don't really know what the annual cost is going to be. This is just a breakdown of a unit price, so
I can
what exactly are we
attempt-
approving today?
Yeah, well, I guess I'm asking to lock in these unit prices. I can attempt to, based on a full schedule, I can attempt to give you that information.
But, I mean, is it comparable to any other one of these bidders?
All the other ones are higher.
Okay, so.
Midwest declined,
So we're looking at less than $50,000
yes.
a year?
Should be, yes.
And can you guarantee that, or?
Well, it's as we call them in. I mean, I can get you information based on a full schedule. We just didn't believe, because of the traffic being so reduced in the buildings, to have them come and power wash something that really doesn't need it. So we were going to call them in on an as-needed basis. But I can certainly, get you that information if everything was based on a full schedule.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Sabatini?
Thank you, Chair. Lynn, you have a line item on your budget specifically
Yes.
for this?
Yes.
Do you know what that total budget line item is?
Well, it's got other things in that. So any kind of contracted services or cleaning service, it's all lumped in
Okay.
to that budget.
So.
But the funding for this is in the facilities and operations operating budget.
Okay, so basically you can't exceed that unless
Right.
that's the max. So maybe if you could provide us that total and maybe even like a year-to-date what's been spent?
Sure.
I think that would answer a lot of our questions too.
Sure.
Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Kleinfeld?
It was the same as Commissioner Sabatini. It's in a maintenance line item. Thank you.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 6B, budget amendment for capital improvement plan, Dell financing PowerMax payments 3 of 5 for $329,562.24. I'd like a motion to move the full board.
Zog makes the motion?
Support by Nard.
Commissioner Zong made a motion, Commissioner Nard seconded. Thank you. Jako?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. We came to you in 2019 to buy 2 new arrays for our infrastructure, compute storage environment. At that time, we negotiated a deal with Dell Financial to do it over a period of 5 years at 0% interest. So what we're asking for today is to make the 3rd payment of that agreement. So after this year, there will be another 2 years left, and the system will be paid in full. So that's what the purpose is for this request.
I just have one quick question, Jako. Are all 5 payments the same amount?
Same amount, yes.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Moving on to 6C. It's an agreement with Information Technology Maintenance Agreement for third quarter 2021, Package 9, for a total of $319,096. Jako?
Chair, I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Farrington. Is there support?
Support, so.
Thank you. Commissioner Farrington made a motion to move the full board, supported by Commissioner Zong.
These are the maintenance agreements that I bring to you on a regular basis. What this is mostly cybersecurity. Our partner in cybersecurity is CBI, a company from Detroit. And we pretty much purchase all our equipment, pay all our maintenance and so forth through CBI. The purchase is mostly for firewalls, firewall equipment, or the maintenance thereof. And then also there's a component of about $99,000 that is for Crowdstrike, which is, you can call it antivirus software. It is, not the old style typical antivirus software. We entered into agreement with them beginning of last year, or halfway through last year, I think, through the CARES Act project or CARES Act funding. So the maintenance for this is for those 2 items. And it's all payable to CBI.
Thank you. Commissioner Zong?
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Jako, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Commissioner?
Good. I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more about the cybersecurity and CBI. Would they be able to provide us a presentation of what they do? I'd be really interested to learn more about how they keep us safe.
Yeah, I can most definitely do that. Maybe I can just back off a little bit and explain to you what we do from an IT standpoint. We have a position in IT called Security Administrator. We had a young man, Stephen Monado, in that. Stephen left our organization not too long ago to go on to bigger things, and we expected that. The cybersecurity world is very volatile when it comes to resources. And we are actually, right now, have that position, posted. I think it closed next Tuesday. Once that's done, we hope to get a new security administrator in that position. We augment our cybersecurity program by entering into this agreement with a partner so that we also have more advanced services available. If I can maybe talk about Oakland County a little bit, they have a CISO, which is the highest level of security person you can have, but it is also very expensive. And we opted for the kind of this approach, having a security administrator and then also have a security partner. And our program was implemented with the help of CBI as well as our previous security administrator. We're continuing to maintain that program and are pretty proud of it. I think what we've done so far is puts us in a pretty good position for a government organization of our size. But I can most certainly at some point in time do a presentation if that's something that you are interested in. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Farrington?
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Jako.
Hi, Commissioner.
Notice on the Crowdstrike Antivirus Security, price went up 43%, and the reason was due to COVID. What does that have to do with licensing and support? The Crowdstrike Antivirus Security, this is the document, IT requests, third quarter package 9.
Yeah,
So item
Are
number
you
2,
asking-
yeah,
are you-
it just says it's gone up 30,000, fine, but so the reason is due to COVID, increased licensing and support.
yeah, we added, during COVID, as part of the CARES Act program, we added additional licensing. One of the things that happened during,
Because you needed more people.
we needed more people, and also with people moving out and working remotely, what it actually does is it extend our capabilities to the remote equipment that we have out there. So we didn't have that capability before.
Continuing with Commissioner Farrington's question, when you say that you extend it out, is that onto personal equipment that people use to connect into the county, or was that on county equipment that previously wasn't protected?
It is on county equipment that previously wasn't protected. As you might know, one of the other things we did last year, we replaced most of our desktops in the county with laptops so that people can go home with a laptop, from their office and go and do work there. Those laptops we have obviously better control over. We don't have any ability to take somebody's personal computer and put antivirus software on there or things like that. What this does for us is it extends it to that equipment. In other words, when they're at home, it has the capability still of, looking for viruses and ransomware.
Did the licenses on the desktops transfer to the laptops when you replaced the desktop with a laptop?
Yeah, we didn't have it on many computers or many desktops at that time. We had malware protection and so forth, but those things we've kind of, at this point in time, don't do that anymore. We focus pretty much just on Crowdstrike.
So at this point, what percentage of the county's computer assets, PC-type assets are protected, and what percentage isn't?
All our equipment is protected.
At this point
Yeah,
with the
at this point
CBI?
in time, yep.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Zinner?
Thank you, Chair. Whenever I get emails from citizens, and that note comes below it from you or someone, I wonder if I should answer it, and I always want to answer the citizens' emails. Is that protected? Am I protected? Is my computer protected when I'm home?
If it's a county computer,
Well,
not
citizens,
your personal computer, if you understand what I'm saying.
but does that citizen's email come through
Yeah.
you guys first?
No, what happens is when somebody sends you an email, we obviously have protection on the perimeters of all our emails that come in. So the first thing it'll do is it'll check to see if it is spam or coming from a bad source or anything like that. Those things happen automatically. But it's also settings that you set for an organization. When you set those settings too aggressively, then people lose emails that they were supposed to get. When you set it too loosely, then they get too many emails. So it's a very delicate balance. So over time, you build that up until you get to a point where it is pretty well protected. When it comes to email, that's one part of it. The other part of it is too, the people out there that do these malicious emails and things like that, they're getting very crafty. And what they do, what's popular, and we've had quite a few instances in the county of that, what's very popular is they take somebody high up in the organization, and they would say, for example, commissioner, and they would say, this is from Commissioner Van Sickle, and you need to read this document or something like that. and then somebody opens it and it's not from Commissioner Van Sickle, it's somebody trying to get that person to open a malicious file, and then at that time, whatever they insert in that file or information that they mine or those type of things is what happened. But we do, to counter this, we obviously have, on the perimeter, we have some safety nets, but we also do training for all our employees through HR about how they need to handle emails that come into the organization. Anybody that receives emails, you need to be careful what you open, just like anything else. I mean, if you're not comfortable with email, it's probably something wrong with it. So usually when you open it, there's no problem with the email itself. It's usually an attachment or something like that in that email that's going to cause problems, or when you respond to that email. And then people notify us as they get those things, and we address them immediately to make sure they're either clean or doesn't pose a problem or whatever, we need to do with it.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you.
Commissioners.
I'd like to turn the gavel over now to Commissioner
Romano.
Joe Romano.
Okay. Going to open the meeting for records and public safety. First on our agenda is a contract with WellPath Healthcare Services for Juvenile Justice Center, $1,328,762. Rhonda Westfeld is the director. I need a motion, recommend this to full board.
Second,
by Hall.
Zinner.
Supported by Zinner. Rhonda, you're up. Hi.
Hello, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the invitation, opportunity to speak to the committee today. A good deal of you I haven't met, so I'm Rhonda Westfall. I'm the director of the Juvenile Justice Center. And I'm here today to recommend that the committee approve a 3-year contract with WellPath. We did go out for bid for our medical services for the youth home. We got 2 responses to that bid. WellPath is our current provider. It's the old CCS. They also provide services at the jail. They renamed themselves a couple years ago as WellPath. The other bid was substantially higher than WellPath, so we're recommending that we accept the WellPath bid for the 3-year contract. Just generally and real briefly, WellPath provides all the medical services for the kids that are placed in the youth home. So they're doing intake assessments, they're doing physical examinations, they're distributing all medication. They're coordinating medication with families, ensuring that we're utilizing insurances to pay for medications to reduce the cost to the county. They're still doing all the COVID protocols for the kids because we still have those protocols in place for the institution. So our youth are going through temperature checks 3 times a day. We also still have our new kids in quarantine, so they're doing medical checks on all of them. So they're providing all of our medical services. They do regular and routine health checks, basically sick calls for the kids. Most of our kids are pretty healthy. Once in a while, we'll get a serious case, and boy, we're thankful they're there, where we get a diabetic that has to have blood levels checked 4 times a day and special diets. And so it's extremely helpful, of course, to have the medical staff there with their expertise. So WellPath did, their bid was, we asked for a 3-year, we're asking for a 3-year contract. The total of that bid was $1,328,762 over those 3 years. This contract also has a provision to do a renewal for 2 additional years, if need be. Comparably, comparably to the history that we've had with WellPath, I think it's a reasonable bid. It equates to the first year being $429,000. The second year goes up to 442, and then the third year is 456,000. So we are, again, just recommending a renewal contract with WellPath. Does anyone have any questions?
Thanks, Ms. Westfall. Yes, we have some commissioners with some questions.
good.
If they may, Ms. Kleinfeld,
Absolutely.
Commissioner?
I withdrew. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Song?
Thank you, Chair. Is WellPath Correct Care? Is that their former
It used to
name?
be called Correctional Care.
Correctional Care?
Yeah.
Okay,
Correctional
great,
Care
thank you.
Solutions. They renamed themselves, I want to say about 3-4 years ago.
Okay. Is
So
there a
you-
reason?
No, I don't necessarily think so. I think they just did some rebranding. I wasn't aware of any problems or anything that led to that. But it's been a number of years ago, but sometimes you'll still see that acronym on some of the old, on some of the
Okay.
old documents.
And then I think you answered my other question, was the 1.3 million is for it's for 3 years, not renewing at that amount
Correct.
each year?
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yep, it's
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
spread
Commissioner
across
Song.
3 years.
Thank you,
I
Chair.
have- I'm sorry. So, Commissioner Hall?
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Rhonda.
Hello.
Has the population in the youth home been going?
move to your microphone so we can all hear you? Thank you.
Only you, Joe.
Thank you.
Has the population in the youth home been increasing, decreasing, staying at a steady rate in the last 2-3 years?
The population in the youth home has steadily declined since about 2015. It stabilized in about 2019, going into 20, and then we got hit with COVID. COVID has now reduced that a little bit further. If we stabilize back to the 2019 figures, we have an average of about 42 kids on a daily in there. I am happy to share with the committee today that we are now housing, assisting 18 other counties with short-term detention needs. I know I've been in front of the board and committee, and there's been some questions about other counties. Prior to this last June, July, we were housing youth for St. Clair County and Sanilac County. We now have 17 additional counties that are using us on a pretty regular basis. So that's bringing those numbers up a little bit too, and bringing in revenue for the county as well to offset costs for our local kids. But I anticipate those numbers are going to gradually come back up to about the 2019, 2018 numbers. I don't anticipate going back to the 2013, 14, 15 numbers. There's been a trend towards getting kids out of institutions, and it's nationwide. It's happening throughout the state. A lot of the facilities in the states, their populations have declined. I'm not sure what those, post-COVID, I anticipate those numbers are going to come back up. We also have the raise the age legislation that's going to go into effect October 1st, where juveniles will now be up to the age of 18 as opposed to 17. We may see some population impact from that. The court has projected about a 25% impact on their caseloads. I don't know what that's going to equate to for detention and treatment services, but we'll see. But yeah, there has been a trend towards getting kids out of institutions. Yes, there has been. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
certainly.
Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. I have Commissioner Zinner.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Rhonda. I'm over
You're
here.
here. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I got a little glare.
That's no problem. Do the parents pay or partially pay for the children being in that facility?
They have in the past, and that's something that has changed this year. I do know that the court has made some changes with regard to that. The center itself does not do that billing. Our juvenile court does. That might be a question better posed to them for the specifics.
I just wondered.
Yeah.
And with their medication, does the family pay for that, or if they are financial, is that back to the court? I wondered with the medication, sometimes it can be costly. I just wondered if they pay a percentage of that. I'm curious.
What we do for the youth that come into short-term detention, and we started this when I came on board in 2013, we were buying a lot of those medications. And what we did is we changed our protocol. And our protocol was if someone's coming into detention for 10 days and they're taking medications, those medications are sitting at home in the bathroom. So the parents bring those medications in. And we have a protocol for bringing them in securely and counting, and then our medical staff distribute. So most of our detention, short-term detention, those medications are coming from their homes. If a youth spends a longer time in detention, or they go into our long-term residential, they then become insured through us through Medicaid. So we're capturing that through insurance. So most of our medication is coming through parents, or we're capturing it under private insurances and Medicaid.
Thank you. And what is the duration of children staying? You must have quite a variety in that.
Our short-term detention, the average length of stay is 20 days. That could be anywhere from 3 days to a year.
Yeah.
Keeping in mind that we have youngsters in detention and they're waiting for waivers into the adult system, so they could sit there a year and a half waiting for that. Our long-term treatment program is designed to be long-term, and it's anywhere from about 7 months to 9 months on an average.
Do they pretty much leave by 9 months then, or may they stay?
Some of them stay a little more. The distinction between, if you think about detention and treatment, think about detention being placed pending a further decision of the court.
Yes.
Treatment is the decision of the court. We have decided to place you in long-term treatment. Detention often will be a short stay for a violation of probation, or you'll be placed in there pending a decision. Whether that decision is to eventually go on to placement, it might be a waiver situation, it might be working with CMH internally for a few weeks and then being discharged. So there's really a broad variation.
Thank you very much for your help here.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a
Thank you
lot.
for what you do.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Zinner. Second round. Commissioner Song?
Thank you, Chair. What is WellPath doing to reduce the number of lawsuits that have come up?
Well, we haven't at the youth home experienced any type of lawsuit with WellPath. What they're on that level, I really seriously can't answer that question.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're not aware of any litigation or lawsuits in the juvenile justice system?
No, we have not had any litigation with WellPath as long as I've been there. And even prior to that, I've never heard of any litigation with WellPath at the youth home.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Ms. Westfall. We have a motion and support to recommend this to full board. Please vote.
Motion passes 11-1 with Commissioner Song voting no.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Item B is a budget amendment, Community Corrections and Sheriff's Office, Edward Byrne, Memorial Justice Assistant Grant, Barb Caskey, Director of Community Corrections, Steve Briney, Captain. Motion to recommend to for full board. I need a motion.
Moved by
So moved.
Kleinfeld.
Moved by Kleinfeld, supported by Hall. And we have up Barb Caskey.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good, Ms. Caskey, go ahead.
Barb Caskey, Director of Community Corrections. For those of you I haven't met, at least in person, I've seen you virtually, so it's nice to be back in person. As you may recall, in previous years, the Sheriff's Department and Community Corrections receive funds from the federal JAG grant, and we are in front of you every year to request acceptance of those funds. That is administered by Warren Police Department. They receive one lump sum, and then it is predetermined by feds who receives what amount from there. So Warren usually receives a larger chunk, and then the Sheriff's Department and myself split that for different projects that we're working on. Sheriff's Department was here previously to receive approval for 18 and 19 funds. We are here for 18-19 just for community corrections, and then 2020 for community corrections and the Sheriff's Department. For all 3 years of that for community corrections, those funds are used for individuals who are being diverted from the jail into community programming for substance abuse treatment, testing, and in some cases electronic monitoring, which means tethering, if you're familiar with that. And the Sheriff's Department for 2020 would be for 2 mobile data terminals and 3 stalker radar units. Their funds are used for different things usually each year, so that's for the 2020. I'm happy to answer any questions on that. I know that was a very quick explanation of that, so.
I don't see any speakers. We have a motion.
Sorry, Chair.
Mr. Chair, I can't.
I do.
This is Commissioner Matuzik. No, you can't see me because I can't seem to get there. The details just
Yeah.
comes up as the last one.
Say it again.
Thanks.
Sorry.
I know, it's like I keep trying to make it happen. Can you explain to me why we're going backwards?
Yeah, essentially what happened was there was a changeover in Sheriff's Department staff, and there was a changeover in Warren Police Department staff. And so we were sort of on the wrong page in terms of whether things had been approved already. And then again, Sheriff's Department came a while back and received approval for their 18 and 19 funds, and we're just a little bit behind the ball on that. So it really was a matter of change in who was administering that grant.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. We let you off for Ms. Caskey.
You guys are always so nice to me.
Captain Bryne, it's always nice to see you.
Sorry,
Thank
Chair,
you so
I did
much.
have a question.
We have a motion to full board? No, there's no
I can't
speakers
seem
here.
to click the speak, it's on the wrong one for some reason.
What do I don't see here? Ms. Song, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
It's not on my, thank you.
They're
Put your
like
glasses
swapped.
on.
The agenda items are swapped.
You're up.
Anyway, I had a similar question to Commissioner Matuzig. These funds have already been spent, correct?
No, if for
they
community
haven't.
corrections, they have not. We can't
Okay.
spend anything until we receive approval from the board to be able to do so. So then at that point, when it's approved, we spend the funds because there's sort of a kind of a dummy account, and then we request reimbursement from Warren to the county to replace those funds that we've spent.
Okay, so the grant dollars are reimbursement, like you don't have them in your possession, and if they're not even used in the year that they were awarded, you can still submit for the reimbursement?
Not if they're not used. They have to be spent out on what we stipulated in the grant application that we would spend them on.
Okay, got it,
So
thank
if they're
you.
not used, they're just sent back to the fund.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Board.
I see Vicky out there in the audience. I see Vicky out there in the audience. Something you want to say, young lady?
No, I just came for the last two items.
It's always a pleasure to see you also. All right, we have a motion and support. Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Item 8 is new business. Commissioners, we have anybody with new business? I don't see anybody. Oh, excuse me. Ms. Kleinfeld.
Okay, so I believe part of my question was answered. I was waiting for new business to ask if everybody else's 7B was in front of 7A. So if you clicked to speak on one, you showed up on the other. This happens on occasion with this program, and sometimes the meeting will start with them in the proper order, and then they'll flip during the meeting, just for the chairs to know. Sometimes they flip for one person and not for everybody, so when you're chairing the meeting, it gets a little dicey when everybody else has a different agenda. I know that's one of the quirks that hopefully we get to fix when we get an IT person. So that was my number one question was, is everybody else experiencing the same thing I am? The second thing is, Commissioner Van Sickle, I can throw the name out, but I guarantee you if I'm chairing the meeting, I will not be able to come up with the name. I will stare at you like I've never met you before. There's something about chairing that makes all the names go out the window and you just sit there and stare at somebody you've known for 10 years. So that is not on you. I think everybody experiences that. And
Thank you for those kind words. This afternoon, I just can't remember anybody's last name.
I've been going through it for years. So obviously, everybody heartfelt hug to Phil Kraft today. That's all I'm going to say on it. Thank you.
Everybody will know your name, Ms. Kleinfeld, I'm sure. Is there anybody else who would like to speak under new business? Well, I'd like to welcome Luke, our new IT guy, but I don't see him around, so you hiding back there in the office back there, Luke? Come on out if you're back there. Let's everybody take a look at you. There he comes. Hey, Luke. Nice to have you on board. Okay, we have public participation, which is item 9. This opportunity for public participation is for those who wish to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any issue. Seeing no one in the audience, no one on the phone, I will move that and go to item number 10, which is adjournment. I need a
to
motion.
adjourn. Song.
I hear the board, no. Ms. Song, and I need a second. And a second from Zinner. Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
12-0. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for attending. See you in church.